Welcome back to TechStack Learning Channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Let's get started.
We've all chatted with AI, but what if it could do more than just talk? What if it could actually act? Today, we're going to break down how AI makes the leap from a simple chatbot to a full-blown autonomous agent, one that can think, plan, and use tools to get real things done. And that's really the key question, isn't it? This is what unlocks genuine automation. We're all pretty used to AIs that can generate text, but the next frontier, where the real magic happens, is when they can take meaningful action for us in the digital world. And that leap brings us right to the core idea of an AI agent. It's a huge shift in thinking, right? We're moving from a passive responder to an active doer, and honestly, it's unlocking a whole new level of what AI can do. So, what's the actual difference here? Well, a chatbot is basically reactive. It just follows a kind of conversational script based on what you type. But an agent is proactive. It understands a high-level goal, figures out the necessary steps all on its own, and then it takes action. It doesn't just talk, it executes. To put it simply, just think of an agent as a digital assistant that has autonomy. You could tell it something like, hey, find me the best Italian restaurants nearby and give me a summary of their top 3 reviews. And it would just figure out how to do that by itself. So what really makes an agent tick? Let's pop the hood and break down the core components that all come together to create one of these autonomous systems. First up, right at the heart of every single agent is the large language model, or LLM. This is the brain of the whole operation. Think something like GPT-4. It's the central reasoning engine that understands what you want, figures out what to say, and, most importantly, decides what action it needs to take next. Next, an agent absolutely needs memory. Without it, every single interaction would be like starting from scratch, kind of like talking to a goldfish. Memory lets the agent remember earlier parts of the conversation, store information, and learn from what it's already done. That's what makes it feel so much more coherent and intelligent. Now for the real game changer. Tools. See, an LLM by itself can only create text. It lives entirely in a world of words. But when you give it tools, like a calculator, a web search API, or access to a database, it can suddenly reach out and interact with the world and perform actual tasks. This is its action layer. Okay, so for any goal that's not super simple, the agent needs to be able to plan. It uses that LLM brain to break down a big, complex task into smaller, more manageable steps. So if you ask it to plan a trip, it just knows it needs to first pick a place, then find hotels, and then build an itinerary. An agent doesn't just exist in a void. It lives in an environment, and it's constantly interacting with users and APIs. This creates this really powerful, continuous feedback loop. It thinks about what to do, it acts using its tools, it sees the result of that action, and then it thinks again. This cycle is exactly what makes it so dynamic. And this analogy really ties it all together perfectly. An AI agent is actually structured a lot like a person. The LLM is its brain, memory is like its knowledge and experience, and the tools, well, those are its hands to interact with everything. Planning is its ability to think, and the environment is just the world it operates in. All right, that's enough theory. The best way to really understand all this is to see it in action. So let's get practical. We're going to build a really simple agent using the LangChain framework that has just one single tool, the ability to do math. It's going to be just 4 simple steps. We'll define a tool, load up the LLM, initialize the agent, and then we'll run it. So first things first, we define a tool. In LangChain, this is pretty much just a function that our agent can call. We're creating this calculator tool that can solve a math problem, and that gives the agent a power the LLM doesn't have by itself, reliable math. Now we bring it all together. Using this initialize agent function you see here, we just pass in our list of tools, only the calculator for now, and we connect it to an LLM. This one function basically assembles the brain and the hands. And boom, we have a working agent. So the agent is built, let's give it a little task. It's a simple math problem, yeah? But it's one that requires an action. How is the agent going to think through this? And this is the really cool part. We can actually see the agent's internal monologue. It thinks to itself, okay, the user is asking for a math calculation, and then it decides, I should use the calculator tool. This right here, this is the absolute core of agentic behavior, reasoning about which action to take. So the tool runs, it gets the result, and it passes it back to the agent. The agent then sees this result and gives us the final correct answer. It didn't just guess, it understood the problem, it made a plan, and it executed. That is a real agent in action. Okay, that was great, but our agent has a problem. It's a goldfish. It can't remember anything from one question to the next. So let's fix that with a really simple but super powerful upgrade. So this line of code, this is what created our first agent. But notice, there's no memory component here. That means every time we run it, it's a completely blank slate. It has no memory of what we just talked about a second ago. The fix, you're going to love this, is surprisingly simple. With just one extra parameter, memory equals memory, we weave our conversational history right into the agent. LangChain just makes it that easy. And now, it can actually recall the context of our entire conversation. So let's just do a quick recap of what we've accomplished here with just a few lines of code. We've seen that an agent is an active system, not a passive one. We built one from its core parts, an LLM for its brain, a tool for its hands, and memory, so it can remember things. And we saw with our own eyes how it reasons about which tool it needs to use to get a job done. But honestly, we have only scratched the surface. Giving an agent a calculator is one thing, but what happens when its tools are live APIs for searching the web, checking the weather, or booking a flight? That's when things get really, really powerful. And that's exactly what we'll explore next time as we start to unleash our agent's true potential.